What's up, guys? What's up, truth tellers? What's up, givers? Let us know in the chat box who you're for today. And guys, you are in for a treat tonight, okay? Do not let the barbed wire and state seal fool you, okay? This is not just a detention center. It's a plantation with a fresh coat of paint where Black and brown bodies will be caged, controlled, and commodified in the name of corrections. Nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz, this Florida facility is a chilling symbol of the South's dark legacy, where the only thing that's changed is the uniform. Behind the walls, forced labor, racial abuse, isolation, and a system built to break men down and cash checks while doing it. This is not a rehabilitation. It's modern day slavery, and the state is eating off it like gators in the swamp. Tonight on Truth Talks, welcome to Alligator Alcatraz, where freedom ends and the plantation lives on. Oh, and Cenat did what? Let's get to it.
Are y'all ready to roll? Let's go.
Okay, Canada, opening this show. Let me find out. Nice job, Dr. Fontaine. What's going on with you?
Oh my God. Okay. I don't know if y'all keep joking or my real last name is Fontenot. Okay. Fontenot. But what's up? I'm so excited to be here with my Truth Talks fam. It's going to be a great and spicy show tonight.
Dimitri, I always wonder, does Fontenot really know?
That was a horrible joke, Torre.
It was bad. I was bad. I'm sure you've heard it 100 times. Dimitri, how are you?
I'm well. I'm very well. I have no complaints here. I'm doing about as good as the hair is today. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, you know what I'm saying?
Wait, I see no hair, so
I'm talking about you. I'm trying to give you something, but now I take it back.
Girls, Torre,
now I take it back.
How you got your wife? Torre got the curls for the girls. We see how you got wifey. Mm-hmm.
It's just 3C. It's just 3C here. That's all it is, Cheyenne. You one day, maybe Hair Maniacs will make it in 3C, and then bam, we'll be together.
Yeah, we'll be twinsies.
There you.
I'm buying it. I'm buying me one too.
Twins. Let's get into it. Trending truth number one: Cenat is facing mad heat on social media, which he probably likes. He teamed up with Target for the release of a new personal care brand. I don't want to read the name of it because I'm mad at him. In celebration of the move, he and the AMP Collective did a sleepover inside a Target, even though the Target economic fast is still going on because Cardi B messed it up. Essence Fest, now Cenat. People are mad because Target got the clout, Kai got the check, and what does the community get? Nothing. How does this hurt the boycott of Target initiated by our friend Pastor Jamal Bryant and other prominent urban entities? Doc, when we are trying to call Target out and say, you are doing us wrong, to have Cenat say, let's do a brand meetup, sleepover, co-event, you are not paying attention to what the community is trying to demand of Target at this moment. You are a traitor.
Well, listen, so I don't know about the traitor piece. I just know that everyone has their own lane of career and what they're doing. And, people have the right to not be in alignment with other people's advocacy. Cenat doesn't have to be in alignment with Pastor Brian's advocacy with Target. And I don't think it makes him a traitor. He's making his own decisions. Now, whatever Pastor Jamal Bryant has going on as far as, him boycotting against Target, that was a successful boycott. And Kai went and got him a successful partnership. I just feel like we as Black folks have to also allow space for people to have a different opinion, a different decision, because we don't know what Kai has going on for his long-term plan. And now I'm not saying sell out your community for your long-term plan, but we also are people that talk a lot about generational wealth. And if this is within his plan for generational wealth, I don't think it's a bad decision, because let's keep it real and I'll wrap on this. We might have boycotted Target, because I actually boycotted as well. I just ordered from other places. but we know at some point we're going to be shopping back and buying back at Target. This isn't a lifelong boycott. So for Kai to not receive a big deal that can, add to his career for, let's just say, a seasonal boycott, then, it doesn't make any sense to me, because let me say this too, Torre, I'm not going to do it because Pastor Jamal Bryant that's my guy. But, there have been some things recently in the media about Pastor Jamal Bryant, receiving money from Target recently. And I call it shut up money. So again, I love Pastor Jamal Bryant. I'm saying allegedly, that's what I read. And so we got to look at a lot more context before we start to context this brother Kai for accepting a partnership that's paying his bills.
If someone was to say that Kai has an intellectual disagreement with Pastor Bryant's boycott, and he's saying Target shouldn't be in the business of DEI. I disagree with the entire idea that you're fine. You have an intellectual disagreement with Pastor Bryant on fine. There's no intellectual disagreement. This is entirely a selfish conversation. I want to make money, so I'm going to go do this, get this big check from them. I. The community is saying, hey, you need to serve us better, Dimitri. Like, you profit from us, so to work with us, to take care of us, be there for us also. And Kai is there for himself. And who is his audience? A lot of young men, a lot of them us. So this is trader behavior. This is selfishness. This is not leveling up as a businessman. This is saying what's good for me. And I don't care. And I bet Target understands that there is a black boycott going on right now. So pulling in Kai Cenat. So he's profiting off of this is a scab, basically, right? So this is, I don't see how you could argue that this is okay. This is horrible behavior.
I would never knock a black man for getting his money, ever. But the thing about it is, I'm not going to knock a black man for getting his money. I'm going to knock a black man for not understanding the plot. And when we say plot in this generation, Tori, I got to explain it to you because it's a little different than how we've meant it in books. When we say plot, bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? But here's my thing about Target.
That's the same thing.
I don't know. I don't know what you read, but here we go, bigger picture, right? That's all it means. It doesn't mean, the details of it, just bigger picture. He can't see the bigger picture behind it. They're using one of the most powerful black faces in today's social media and beyond at this point to neutralize the people and get them right back shopping in Target. And that's all it is. We had a boycott, and I don't know if this is like the fatigue of it, but it seems like we all could have saw this coming. Target needs us to stay relevant. Obviously, you've seen the numbers dip when we stop shopping. But my thing about it is, I think Kai Cenat should have registered in his mind that I'm not going to let you use me as a weapon against my people to gain my people. If you're so down for the people as you claim to be, and from watching the streams to watching his impact with kids in his generation and their parents, Kai Cenat knew exactly what was going on, that some black influencer would get a major deal because of it, because they need black people. I guarantee you this contract came with an NDA. Because if Kai did not sign, they would not want Kai talking about this on his stream. I guarantee you that.
So, Sarah, I think Jamal Bryant, Pastor Bryant is going to be, I think Dr. Bryant's going to be on the show next week, but Pastor Bryant, Bryant.
Not if you show up, I might skip.
He will be here next week to talk about this boycott and the whole situation. So we're going to get to the bottom of this soon. But you do see black people like Cheyenne going back to shopping at Target. And sometimes this is the only place in a community where you can get things, or where you can get things efficiently and go back to taking care of the kids and getting the work done. So you wonder, is it possible to ask black people, working people, single parents, people with multiple children, to say, please change your lives and don't shop at Target? That's asking a lot of a lot of people. So if they can't understand exactly what are we boycotting for, it's hard to ask them to do this boycott that can be inconvenient for themselves.
Yeah. And it's always so funny to me because we as a people are very passionate. And sometimes I think we can be passionately wrong. And what I mean by that is we all have this. If that were me, I would never. Well, it's not you. And it could probably possibly never be you. If you had an opportunity to sell a product and off top, let's say we don't know how much you got paid, but maybe it's $5 million, $10 million. That is creating generational wealth for his family. Right. And I get it. He doesn't understand the plot, but it's so funny to me when people are so like, oh, he sold out, he this, he that. Did he really? This has been going on for so long. Also, we have already established them getting rid of DEI was more of a benefit to white women than any Black or brown person. It was not as beneficial as people think that it was. And so when you actually look at the details, is he wrong for putting another Black product inside of Target? And who knows, maybe in his contract, he's like, I also want to have these other products that were put in here. We don't know what happened in the contract. We don't know what the deals are. All we know is that this man is taking a stand for his own. And what this really says to me more than anything is we need our own Target. We need to have a company like Target that is Black owned, where we can have our products so that we can stop canceling each other based on our own beliefs and opinions and biases.
We're benefiting Target, Doc. He's benefiting from Target at this moment while we are boycotting. That's not okay. That is traitor behavior. That is going against what the community wants for his own selfish benefit. Like, oh, I'm not hating on a Black man being generational. Yes, I am. And he is helping the oppressor and benefiting himself. That's what Stephen from Django did. That's what we talk about when we talk about house slaves. You guys are saying the house slave is right to try to enrich himself on the backs of other people. They're interested in him because we are boycotting him. So he's breaking the boycott. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, this is the definition of traitor behavior.
That was actually a really good pull, Torre. That was a good one. But you're right. And I think a lot of people in the masses don't even understand what the boycott is about or what we're asking of the boycott. And I think it's very important to note that, it's a little extreme. It can be a little extreme, but they've been asking Target to honor this $2 billion pledge that they made to Black entrepreneurs. They've been asking Target to invest I think it was like $250 million into Black owned banks, adopt 6 HBCU businesses and retail programs. And then they was asking them to restore and reinvent these DEI initiatives. So it's not, a lot of people don't know what they're boycotting Target for. It's just when Black people be like, hey, well, let's stay up out of there. And they just believe it's with good reason, so they stay up out of there. But that was a really good pull you made there.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I was going to pretty much, say that I don't think Kai is tripping off of whether he knows about this advocacy plan or doesn't. I don't think that is a defining factor in whether or not he's taking on a deal. I think he's looking at it like this is an opportunity to make more money. This is an opportunity to expand my brand. I don't even think he's considering now whether folks think that's okay or not okay for him to consider the community and the impacts of it. That's their own subjective opinion. But I just feel like he is a young man who's in the pit of his career and he's trying to run the check up as much as he can. And Target ends up being another check that he runs up. Now, again, folks in the chat, say whether or not you believe that Kai is selling out the community or not selling out the community. I don't have a strong opinion on either side. I just know I don't call a young Black man or anyone for that sake selling out when they're making their own adult decision to do something. Sorry. Listen, I don't think because, Torre, I come on here and I say, everybody here on Truth Talks, how it would benefit our community better if we did X, Y, and Z. And if Dimitri decided he didn't want to come along that ride, he's not a sellout. He don't want to roll with those plans. It doesn't matter. What I want to benefit doesn't have to be in alignment with what Dimitri wants to benefit. We are allowed to have our own thought process, our own decisions. And it's like a lot of times that you talk, Torre, you sound very dictatorship and controlling. If people don't join the movement, then they are a sellout. If people don't join this decision, then that is a problem. That is not true. I have the right to not like them damn curls and still be okay with that. I don't gotta like the
No, I mean, if the brother had an articulatable intellectual idea around, hey, I disagree with the boycott because of this. You could have a reasonable idea. He could say, you're not going hard enough. I want you to go harder on Target. I don't think you're going. Fine. This is specifically, I am here to profit for myself, standing on the backs of Black people. This is the definition of sellout behavior. And if we were really on point, we would cancel him for this because he is purposely saying, I am going to enrich myself at a moment when Black people are saying, Target is not our friend. So he is an ally to white supremacy when we are all saying they are the problem and we're going to hold them accountable. And he's saying, no, this is not a disagreement. If you wanted to disagree, that's fine. You're not disagreeing. You're just saying, give me money. And if you give me money, I'll say whatever you want. This is soulless. And I don't expect any more from Kai because he is a good performer, but he's just a brainless performer. He's not an intellectual. He does not talk about politics. But it's not an excuse to say like, oh, I had no idea. You have been used by the white supremacist system to counteract a Black economic boycott. That is selling out. You're doing it for your own personal gain. That is selling out. Like, I don't even understand how we could add it up any other way.
Right. And to your point, Touré, he is expanding and upgrading his own Black social economic empowerment and status and wealth. So hold on. I look at it at a duality for himself. But when this man, as a Black man, socioeconomically enhances and advances, that is a one-up for our community. And
for him.
For him, but that he is a part of our collective. So now, hold on, wait a minute. This is good, Touré. So now he's not a part of our Black community or our collective.
That's not how collective economics works.
He makes a decision that's against your subjective agreement. So you believe because he's not doing what you believe he should do, which is aligned with Jamal Bryant's Target boycott, that he is now no longer he's not Black anymore. He's not Black and no, he's not a part of the collective.
The question is not if he's Black or not. The question is not if he's down for the culture or not. I think to Touré's point, when you look, it's an extreme statement, but to a degree, it's exactly what selling out is. You went against everything we, as a collective, said we would stand for to profit on your own end. Because here's my question, and this is, you made a great reference, Dr. Bryant, in terms of a way to look at it. But in another way to look at it, if you're so easy to fund our influencers, why can't you fund the programs? Why can't you fund what we're asking you to put money into? You see, so it's a tricky situation, but I think, in my personal opinion, it's something, because we talk about generational wealth and him needing to build it and, advocacy for that Black man. But the thing about it is you had that already. Like, you have deals with everybody. You didn't have to take this.
This is part of why a lot of us hate billionaires, because you can't amass that kind of wealth. You're talking about Kai's generational wealth. He's not close to a billionaire, but he's trying to amass generational wealth. That keeps coming up in this conversation. You can't get to billionaire status without stepping on other people. You don't just get there because you worked harder than everybody. You are exploiting other people. That's how you get that large of a share of the world, of the money in the world. So Kai is, to what you're saying, trying to get to generational wealth by stepping on this boycott, by stepping on what Black people need from Target, by saying, I'm going to help Target when Black people are trying to hold Target accountable. So, if you acquire generational wealth by stepping on Black people, that is immoral. That is anti-Black. That is an evil thing to do. So, I can't celebrate this blood dollars that he's getting from Target when he's doing it by going against what we are saying. Hey, Target, just do right by us because we are one of your main consumers. Yeah. To me, the sellout is obvious, but I want to talk about Dr. Bryant's governor, the California Governor Gavin Newsom, in our politicking segment. He just wrapped up a bold, thinly veiled campaign tour through South Carolina, cloaked as a listening trip. That's what they always say when they're starting out. It reeked of early presidential ambition, but so much of what Governor Newsom has been doing has been reeking of presidential ambition. He dodged direct questions about 2028. Of course, it's not time to talk about that yet. But his flashy 2-day swing through the historically pivotal primary state was a calculated move that has Dems whispering about succession and the future of the party. Take a look at this video of Gavin in South Carolina.
The President of the United States may have put out a statement talking about the fact we just celebrated the 4th of July. Next year, we'll be celebrating 250 years of this enduring values of our founding fathers, the best of the Roman Republic, best of Greek democracy, that we're all in this together, and find a little grace, a little humility. You know what he did instead? At the exact moment of the press conference, he decided to press go. And he took those military, 90 of them, those same National Guard men and women that were out there protecting the peace and helping us during the wildfires, put masks on this time.
That's shared.
And were sent out in military gear on horseback with American flags, with Black Hawk helicopters, with tanks running down the streets of a great American city in MacArthur Park in the middle of the day while children were in summer camp playing on the soccer fields. Not one arrest was made. It was an act of cowardliness, and it was an act of cruelty intended for one purpose, cruelty, to divide us, to make us more apathetic, to make us more cynical, and more fearful.
Yes, sir.
We cannot let him win. We cannot allow him to win.
Looks like a presidential campaign stop to me. On the surface, Newsom's leadership and combative stance against Trumpy might play well, will play well with coastal voters, with liberal elites. But to win this thing in 2028 or 2032, whenever he's allowed to actually run for president, you're going to have to win the key swing states of Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. That is quite often what the whole ball game will come down to. So, Dimitri, can someone like Governor Newsom, with the progressive agenda that has quite often fallen on deaf ears outside of the coastal voters, can someone like that go into swing states, those that blue collar Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and win there?
You know, I think he got the presidential posture, but I don't see it. I don't see it because your own backyard is like a wildfire. Let's talk about where you actually come from. It's also to me, an abuse of you coming in and you're trying to get with the culture. I'm analyzing the video and I'm just seeing the little things, all the black people behind you and all the, you know what I'm saying? For me, I'm looking at it like you had. I know, I get it, you know what I'm saying? But look where you start, and I think I don't like it. You got the posture, but come on now. Like what?
South Carolina, what do you want? If it was white, that's Jim Clyburn. He runs South Carolina. What are you talking about? And still,
the video, the angle, the scheme, I don't think it's him, not me personally.
Okay. Cheyenne, look, this is your governor. He moves like a global leader. California is the 6th wealthiest area on earth, but the state does have problems with housing affordability, people leaving, exodus, public safety situations. California has problems. Every state has problems. And as Dimitri is saying, Dimitri's kind of saying if you can't fix California, why should you be president? I think that's a very complicated question. But what do you think about how he has been as a governor of California when you want to map that out to can he be an effective president?
I think Dimitri makes a great point. If your household is in chaos, then what you doing at mine is trying to help me figure out how to organize mine. I think he makes a great point. We've had a lot of disaster in his term as governor. And not that things didn't get handled. The folks in California aren't very happy with how he handled them. Of course, there was resolve. There were a lot of times where he looked more laxed or on vacation during our California crisis. And folks have a problem with that. This position that he's taken, I believe, is a duality of, yes, him wanting to run for a national office, president, but also the duality of another white man named Donald Trump, that I call Big T, has pissed him the hell off. And so, again, this is him clapping back at Trump saying, which he said on the news pretty much screw you. And he used a curse word and apologized for cursing. And saying, listen, you've pissed me off enough to now come for you in your position. And I'm gonna make a lot of noise about it. And so I just think Newsom is in a position of saying, you know what, I always want to run and let me figure this out. But I think Dimitri, and again, I don't dislike him. He has been a friend of our NAACP for a long time. So Dimitri, he's definitely has been a friend of Black folks in the Black community. He does a lot with us. Black Lives Matter. He's always in the Black room. He is. I got to give that to him. But I find, and I say this respectfully because he is our governor and we have a relationship with him, that his bark and his promises have been louder than his results and his actions. And I do hope that regardless of where he goes in office, that he's able to align his actions so that people can not only believe in him, believe in his leadership, but they can start to believe in leadership in politics again in general.
Sarah, I don't know if Gavin will be the nominee. He might be. He is a very serious contender for that. We could throw out some other names who might be there. Maybe Cory Booker, maybe AOC. Certainly some people who we wouldn't even think of at this time. Gavin is an interesting conversation because Dr. Bryant is correct that there are issues in California that he will have to answer for. Mm-hmm. Any executive is going to have specific situations that, well, what about this? What about this? I mean, no state is just like easy to run. There's no state that like everything is perfect there, so you should be president. You've made Iowa perfect. Usher him into the presidency. Like that does not exist anywhere. Right. So, Gavin will be able to say, hey, I had big issues, right? I have more preparation for the big questions that come at you as president because I'm dealing with the biggest economy or one of the biggest economies in the world, much less in America. I think he's an interesting candidate, as Dimitri made reference to. If Hollywood was putting together a presidential kid, like he looks president, right? He looks like that thing that we think, like if you ask people, what do you think? They would think of Gavin Newsom, and that stuff matters.
Yeah. I think that he's doing the best that he can with all the issues that have been around. I'm not against Gavin either. I think, good for him if it happens. I also think that in order to be a politician, you have to be strategic, calculated, and intentional. And people were outrageously offended by what Trump did. And so I think it was really smart, strategic, and calculated for him to go and create an opponent. One of the easiest ways to rally people around you is to have an opponent. Well, in this case, a lot of people are against Trump. Why not lead those trails? So I think that he's just doing what a politician does. I also just want to say super quick off topic. Thank you so much. There's a name to Christian Bennett for our super chat just now. That was pretty awesome. We love you. But coming back to Gavin Newsom, I think that ultimately, he's done his job. He's playing on heartstrings. He's being calculated. He's being strategic. I don't know who else would run. Possibly the people that you named. I don't know, but I could see that being a guy that could beat Trump.
The governor, it's such a strange. What do you mean beat Trump? What are you talking about?
If he ran in 2028 is what I'm saying.
What are you talking about? He's been president twice. He cannot run a third time unless we change the Constitution, which is not going to happen. But
you never know, though, the way Trump is. He might.
But if Trump is running in 2028, then the Democrat has no chance because we're not having it's not going to be a real election. We're not going to have real votes counted.
I mean, didn't Trump say none of those real votes happened in the last term? We don't know. We never know with this man, is what I'm saying. That's all.
I'm sorry. We know what happened in 2020, correct?
This is correct? A joke, yes. He said they counted the votes wrong. I'm just saying.
I don't care what he said. You know who won in 2020, right?
Yes.
Who won?
Joe Biden is what you're talking about?
Well, yes. I mean, yes, there's still people on your side who are like, I don't know. It's still up in the air. I just want to make sure. If seen you in a minute, I just want to make sure we're still on the same page.
Yes, absolutely.
Whew. Okay. All right. Speaking of Republicans, It's going to be a rough segment for you. Let's get into some real talk on our main topic. No bullshit. We can have Alligator Alcatraz happening in America. It's Cenat. It's a modern day slave camp with barbed wire and bad PR and a nickname. Alligator Alcatraz. That is disgusting. In Florida, where prison labor is still legal under the 13th Amendment, detention centers like this, wow, that picture is really hard to look at. Oh my God. People actually live in there. These detention centers are functioning as profit machines. Florida's prison system has long blurred. Jody, don't make it bigger now. You're killing me now. Florida's prison system has blurred the line between justice and slavery. This is racially skewed. This is a new slave camp under the guise of dealing with illegal immigration. I'm going to show you a video about what's going on in Alligator Alcatraz. Look at this.
You know, snakes are fast, but alligators are. We're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison.
U.S. President Donald Trump traveled to Florida Tuesday to inspect the site of a controversial new migrant detention center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. Now, this remote facility is being reconfigured at a cost of $450 million U.S. to hold undocumented immigrants in the middle of the Everglades.
Is the model going forward, Mr. President?
It can be. I mean, you don't always have land so beautiful and so secure. We have a lot of bodyguards and a lot of cops that are in the form of alligators. You don't have to pay them so much. But I wouldn't want to run through the Everglades for long. It will keep people where they're supposed to be. This is a very important thing.
We've got very red states that should be doing this just as much as Florida's doing. That will increase their numbers. And then what happens is you'll have a lot of people that will deport on their own because they don't want to end up in an Alligator Alcatraz or some of those other places. So I think this is a model, but we need other states to step up.
The Florida Everglades to open America's newest migrant detention center. It's incredibly built, and you're seeing that yourself. That's why I said let the press join us on our walk so they can see what's happening. It's known as Alligator Alcatraz, which is very appropriate because I looked outside and that's not a place I want to go hiking anytime soon. But very soon this facility will house some of the most menacing migrants, some of the most vicious people on the planet. We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation. And a lot of these people are self-deporting back to their country where they came from.
Dimitri, you know, the 13th Amendment allows involuntary servitude as punishment for a crime. So prisoners in Florida are working for pennies per hour, and they are under the threat of punishment if they refuse. But I assume you also know people who have done time, right? Yes. And we understand that the way folks are treated when they are inside, and that looks like extremely horrific beyond what you get in a normal prison. When we treat people horrifically when they are inside, that is bad for society. Most of them will eventually come out. These people are not supposed to be in here forever. This is not CCOT. So even if they are released to other countries, or they are traumatized, they are a danger to society because they have been damaged deep in their soul by being kept in a horrific place like this. What do you think?
You know, it's amazing to me how much this resembles what slavery is. It's the same ground, it's the same system, it's the same, and it's kind of evolved, you know. Now they're calling it corrections. It's just amazing to me when I'm listening to Trump, the way he's speaking about these malicious, some of the most vicious people in the world, and just the verbiage he's using. It's no coincidence this is the exact same land. But the government trying to model this thing in other places like Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, anywhere, calling it's inhumane, in my opinion. Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous that the idea of like, you can view these things and still stomach. And I think the picture of actual Trump and his party standing there and his people standing there is probably the most inhumane. That it's ridiculous because they're viewing it as if this is an animal shelter. They're viewing it as if this is normal. And I hate this. I hate this for us. I hate this as people. I hate to see, I can't even say we went back, but we evolved to this point. It's their new way of doing exactly what they've always done.
Sarah, there's an aspect here of forced labor disguised as rehabilitation, but there's also just straight lying because they're telling us this is where the most vicious people will be. That is not at all true. ICE is grabbing lots of people who are law-abiding, who are working, who are paying taxes, who are not at all criminals at all. So, I mean, children, yes. So, if you tell Americans we're going to house the most vicious people in the world here, well, that creates a sort of moral justification for some people, not for a prison abolitionist, but for some people. But I think the average person could see this is a disgusting way for a government to treat people, even if they have broken something like the immigration law.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I need clarity because I live in a bubble. Anyone that knows me knows that. And so my question is, obviously, based off this video, this is for people that he's grabbing. This is ISIS grabbing these people and putting them in these facilities. And these are the same people that are working for pennies on the dollar, or is pennies on the dollar what we know is happening with the prison? Or are it's all of it?
Well, the people who are undocumented are often working for sub-minimum wage. Also, people who are private prisons are making money for major corporations, and the government would contract them to say, you must pay us for a certain number of beds. So the government is already saying at the beginning of the month, okay, 300 or 3,000, whatever number of beds will be filled. We're paying this private company to incarcerate 3,000 people. Well, we better give them 3,000 bodies to be in there because we're paying for these beds and taking care of these incarcerated people anyway.
Got it. Okay. So two things are coming up for me. I hate that this is happening. It is absolutely inhumane for any human to be inside of a dog kennel with a jail looking like bed when you haven't actually committed a crime against humanity, in my personal opinion. I think that this is a massively focused, fear-based tactic for Trump to have people deport themselves, because this is scary. And if I was an illegal immigrant, I would probably also self-deport, right? So I think that his intention is one thing, and it has to be this ugly, it has to be this scary, it has to be this loud in order for his agenda to actually work out, which is not okay. Now, that also being said, as far as the prisons go and these private prisons that are owned, personally, where it comes to the 13th Amendment, where we're talking about how it's okay for them to involuntarily work, like you do work for pennies on the dollar. I personally think that if you're a person that went to prison because of assault or rape, or you're a pedophile or a murderer, I think you did the crime, pay with the time. That's what you gave up, right? Now, if it's something like you sold drugs years ago, like people like Westmore.
That's not what we're talking about here. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people who made immigration crimes. Then the Supreme Court has said it's not.
Are we talking about both, or are we talking about one? It's terrible as far as it's inhumane, but I do think that it is a fear-based tactic in order to get people to self-deport, and I would bet that it's working because it looks terrifying.
Dr. Bryant, what's really disgusting about this is how Trump and DeSantis and the supporters revel in the inhumanity and the cruelty here, right? And the way this detention center is dehumanizing to people. And if this were happening overseas, we would call it a human rights crisis. But we don't refer to it that way here.
First of all, love you, Sarah. This ain't no fear-based. This shit is real. This is some modern day Hitler shit. This man has cages where I've seen animal, what am I trying to say? I've seen animal homes where, look better than this. Shelters. Thank you. I've seen animal shelters look better than this. Have a better environment than this. Hold on. Let me just give you, for our viewers, let me just give you a little visual of what this is. We're talking about a humanitarian concern. Why? Because we're talking about overcrowding. 32 people per cage. 32 people per cage. Overcrowding. Let's talk about the environmental concerns. Hold on. He hasn't even, right, allegedly, studies show, he hasn't even checked for the environmental concerns, which means flooding, poor sanitation, even a possibility of worms being in these people's food. Where is just the human right of saying, okay, yeah, let's criminalize criminals, but damn, Are we just completely dehumanizing them and saying that these people are worse than animals and dogs? That is exactly what Trump is saying. Exactly what he's saying. And so when we're talking about putting people in a place where you're going to control them by alligators because their only second best choice is to stay in a cage that is overcrowded, overpopulated, environmentally racism, environmentally inhumane, and even there's a high percentage that the food that they eat is going to kill them. This right here is a setup for him to just indirectly murder people at a slow baking pace. This is sick. This is next level. I'm sorry, this is like beyond sick. This is crazy. They have to, you either die because you escape or you die because you stay in a cage with 32 other people.
You're right. And it does make you think about slavery. It does make you think about the 13th Amendment and how the state can force inmates to work for pennies. It is very reminiscent of slavery. But you also think about, Dimitri, how the states can't afford to house the homeless, can't afford to create enough housing stock for the working class, but we can throw up a detention center like this in 8 days. They got merch ready to sell before a single bunk bed is filled. I mean, like, merch for Alligator Alcatraz is disgusting. We should not be encouraging the citizenry to walk around with these shirts. And this is the sort of fear-based stuff that Sarah was referencing, that they want Alligator Alcatraz and the message and the merch to go out. And like when DeSantis and them talk about self-deport, that undocumented folks will see this stuff and say, I'm going to leave because I don't want to go through the hell. But this is a really disgusting way of doing governance, of creating fear in people so that they will run away from you. And you think also, Dimitri, it'd be like, this is a Republican initiative, but you know, there are some Democrats who are not in power who are also there watching this happen and unable to stop it. But I mean, like, this is a really disgusting moment for this country.
You know, for me, it brings up the idea of we're doing this, per se, for the economic threat that these immigrants pose upon the United States. What happens when they turn their eye towards another economic issue like child support and say, now we're going to house Black fathers who fail to pay? You know, everything is a progressive idea. You start small, you push and you push and you push. Don't get me wrong, $450 million into prisons and shelters isn't a small thing. But what happens when they turn an eye from immigration to actual people in the United States who are home here? Whatever they deem to be an economic threat to be, this is terrifying.
It's been said that these facilities are going to house the most dangerous illegal immigrants. That's what they keep telling us. That is not true, but that is the lie they tell us. And we've seen ICE raids sweeping up immigrants who don't have criminal records, who are farmers, housekeepers, gardeners, taxpayers. ICE has a quota of detaining 3,000 immigrants a day. It used to be 1,000. And Trump and Stephen Miller have made it 3,000. So they tripled the daily quota, which is extremely hard for these ICE agents to keep up with. And D.L. Hughley, friend of the show, he's brilliant, had a great comment about this. I want to run that.
This new bill basically makes ICE one of the largest armies on the face of the earth. It also gives them the ability to expand and build new concentration camps. Who do you think will live there? What color do you think they'll be? They also specifically went after people that were on farms and construction sites and hotels. They didn't go after the people who were criminals. If they wanted to, they could have went to the Department of Justice and used their roles and cleared out our prisons. They didn't do that. 70% of the people arrested today so far have had no criminal record, but they do have the skill. So they're going to put them in places like that. And Trump said yesterday, we're going to make deals with farmers and construction companies and the like to make money. So the government will basically sell people. All these Black and brown people who thought you wanted cheap eggs, who thought you think things would be better, you really helped reinstitute modern slavery. You wanted cheaper eggs. Now they got cheaper labor, and people that look like you got bondage. Thanks a lot.
He said he wants to grab criminals and they're going to workplaces. We don't usually find a bunch of criminals at workplaces. Also, ICE and the National Guard are out here on horseback, storming into parks in LA where Latino kids are playing. Like, this is disgusting. Who are you searching for in a park? A family to break up? Like, what are we talking about? The Trumpers will love to tell you that this is not about ICE. It's about illegal immigration. But there's over 660,000 documented white European illegal undocumented immigrants in this country. Where are the invasions of Polish neighborhoods? Where are the invasions of Russian neighborhoods? There are communities of white European undocumented people that they could be grabbing. And yet it seems like it's always brown, black, and pro-Palestinian folks that they're grabbing. We cannot stay quiet and call this a new movement. Look at this.
Let's stop playing games. These ICE raids are not about safety. They're not about law and order. They are about racism, period. They are targeting brown families, Latino, Mexican, Central and South American communities. That's who they're going after. And here's the disturbing proof. There are over 660,000 undocumented immigrants in the United States from Europe. Most of them are white. But you don't see ICE rolling up on Polish neighborhoods. You don't see raids on Russian communities. You don't see armed officers storming white spaces. They are only targeting brown skin. That is not immigration enforcement. It is racial profiling. In California, we just watched National Guard and ICE agents on horseback in riot gear storm a public park where families and children were gathered. That's a military-style operation, and it happened in one of the most diverse cities in the country. Now, yes, some leaders have spoken out. The mayor of LA, a few others, but Congress, Washington, well, they are either compromised or cowards, and their silence is deafening. Make no mistake, this isn't about immigration. It's about control, it's about fear, and it's about testing how far they can go. So no, I'm not staying quiet, and you should not either. This is racial targeting. This is a human rights violation, and this is how fascism takes root. We see it, we name it, and we stand up against it. This is racism, period. And we will not let it become the new normal. Please, my friends, stand in solidarity and speak out constantly against it. Please share. Thank you.
Sarah, the brother is absolutely right. There's a lot of racial profiling going on because these ICE agents need to get, what we said, 3 times as many arrests per day. And quite often what they're doing is driving around until they see somebody who they think fits the profile and then grabbing that person. Quite often they're an American citizen, but the rush to get to 3,000 a day, which they are not getting to, means they can't do careful investigation. They got to just rush and grab as many people as they can, Sarah.
Yeah. You know, I think that the scariest part about the ICE agents that are grabbing these people is the inflated idea of real authority, which turns into control. And just like police officers, I'm sure that a lot of these officers could possibly be those people that in high school never got any play. They were never popular. They were never the strong person. They were never good in sports. They were never whatever it may be. And so they have this false sense of, I want to feel so good. I want to feel like I'm the man or the woman, or I want to have that power. I want to have that status. I'm an ICE agent. I could take your power away. Oftentimes this happens with the mental concept of somebody that is abusing their power. And so the fear for me is now, what are these ICE agents doing to people that they could falsely say, oh, they didn't show me, because they're not asking for identification. They're not necessarily always asking, show me your ID, show me your this, show me your that. They're just assuming, and that assumption and that inflated sense of authority is the scariest thing on the planet. And then you mix that with the pressure to get 3,000 different people. I mean, it's a scary place that we're in right now. And I agree with this man. And the reason why is because if you start here, it could just continue to snowball into other cultures. Now, Black people, where are we going to go? Now they're saying we as Americans, I'm a dual citizen, but now they're going to say you belong in Africa. I've never been to Africa a day in my life. I don't know any family that I would have in Africa. And why is it that all of the white people that are here in America, why are they not European American? Why are they not Polish American? Why are they not Russian American? Why are they not those things? And yet we, coming from a different country, are African American. If it starts with one race, it can go on to another. I do think that it's important to speak up on.
No, I think that's really true, Doc. I think that there's a false sense of authority that ICE is taking. This is the most powerful police force in the country. They show up, as Sarah said, without identifying themselves, without showing any sort of warrant or whatever, with overwhelming force and grabbing people off the street. These are kidnappings. This is not really detaining people. And they're quite often making mistakes, grabbing U.S. citizens. This is a very dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And first, shout out to our Mayor, Karen Bass, for getting a temporary restraining order on ICE that was approved by the court. So she is doing all that she can here in our city. And so shout out to her for that. This is what white privilege and entitlement looks like. This is a representation of our president, our leadership, right? He has a false sense of authority, but is it really false? Because it seems like he's using his power and his authority for real life situation. This is not false. These are these people's real lives. These people are really getting snatched up, put in the back of a 2x2 cage of a van, and they don't give a damn if they know who snatched them up. And the ICE folks, officials, don't care if this person is an immigrant or not. This is all about how an immigrant looks. Aesthetically, if you look like you don't belong here, meaning if you look like you are not white, then that means you don't belong in America. Because to our leadership, Trump, America is a white country. Anything outside of that belongs in a slave camp or labor. He also said that for the immigrants that can prove or agree to just working in the farms, meaning labor jobs, that there's a possibility that they can stay here. But you can only be here if you're deciding and agreeing to do labor work for us. Which Trump? This is what they do already, idiot. Majority of our Hispanics are already cropping for us and agriculturing for us. They are labor workers. So now you're going to tell them that if they do what they already doing, after you demise them, dismantle them, dissipate them and their families, that they can stay or they can come back? What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Are you in the America that all the Americans have been living in?
No.
The fruit that I buy, a Latino, a Hispanic, grew that, crop that, water that, farm that, labor that. What are you talking about, bro? Our contractors, our gardeners, who are legal and who some aren't. How do you think it's getting done?
Right.
The majority of the labor work at the White House where you live, Donald, are at the hands of who? Whether they're immigrants or not, Hispanics, the Latino community. So what are you talking about? Again, this is a direct reflection of our leadership, and we have to be very, very, very cognizant of who we're voting for, who we're choosing, not just at the national level, at the city level, at the state level, and in our homes and wise council, because leadership echoes and leadership makes a mirror of who they are. And this is the white privilege and white supremacy that Trump is saying when he said back in 2016, make America great again. He came back in office, one, to make it great again, which is really just make it white. Because I'll end on this. To Trump, white is right. And if we can make it white, then it's right again. Big problem.
Dimitri, we have concentration camps in this country now, right? I mean, like the comparison to Auschwitz is, look at this, look. And it's really hard to watch. And you wonder what's to stop this to happening to Black people.
The thing about it is, like, if you really pay attention to the video, there's no cages there. There's cages here. It's can be deemed as worse, and to a lot of people. But either way, it's horrific. And I think they are familiar with how similar this is. And I think mentally, this is exactly what they're aiming for. And that makes it so much worse.
You know, there's two, I want to move forward a little bit in this conversation, because there's two major companies in this country that manage the private prison industry, that they have the main contracts. They are the managers of the detention centers that this administration has heavily funded in the big, ugly bill. Look at this. Look at this video.
The private prison industry is set for a historic boom, with President Donald Trump launching his mass deportation.
Shares of Geo Group and CoreCivic rose more than 50% since the election.
I've worked at CoreCivic for 32 years, and this is truly one of the most exciting periods in my career with the company.
Meet CoreCivic and Geo Group, the two publicly traded companies that have come to dominate the private prison industry.
Private prison companies, mainly Geo Group and CoreCivic, are champing at the bit at their prospects for big profits in 2025.
It's insane to me that we allow private individuals to make money from the incarceration of other people. It's bad enough that the state does that, but to allow people, private citizens, to profit off of that is deeply problematic. These companies funneled millions into the Trump campaign in exchange for their government contracts, where you start to see the corruption. It's not just them, it's top corporations, it's builders, it's food contractors. All these sort of people are eating off of Alligator Alcatraz, while Trump blatantly buys loyalty with blood money for those slave camps. Doc, how do you stop this in the place where we are, where Trump has all this power, controlling media, Democrats can't really do that much? How do we stop something like this?
I think what is most scariest for people is it feels like we are in a gridlock. It really feels like, for the first time, at least for my generation, right, being right at 40 and younger, maybe not the folks who are in the 60s or 70s who were already in the civil rights movement back in the 50s and 60s, it feels very gridlocked. It feels very, who is going to go up against this power? What is the strategy that we use? Who's big enough to be the big dog that goes in this big dog park against this Donald Trump guy? And also, this is the part that's most sad to me, y'all, is who can be sick enough and gamey enough and corrupt enough to fight fire with Trump's corrupt ass fire? Because you get somebody who is going to take down someone as sick and diabolic as Trump, it almost looks like it can't be someone who is just, a good-hearted person, very, very humane, believes in human rights, wants to do right by the book, because you're fighting a monster.
Yeah.
And so it feels like, where's the David with this Trump who is a Goliath, per se, right? And we're looking at it from a perspective of David only had a slingshot, and we're feeling like our slingshot is just not big enough for this damn Goliath. And that's just the essence of what I hear when I talk to people, because they're saying, well, even when I'm at my Democratic events, even when I'm at assemblymen, our senator, and our NAACP meetings, it's about strategizing on where can we place the power hitters. But watch this, y'all. Who are considered the power hitters in this? And who can really go up against this monster of a guy? The things that he's doing aren't things he just decided to do yesterday, are this term. Trump's been planning this from his first term and for the entire term that Biden was in office. This is a whole plan. And he got billionaires and other white supremacists and Proud Boys and other folks who have affluence, impact, and wealth to help him plan this out. So this is something that is going to take us longer than just a think tank to do.
We got to take a little bit longer to unpack the David and Goliath thing. Malcolm Gladwell writes about that brilliantly. The slingshot was the gun of its time. So everybody in that scene, everybody who was there in that valley, when David pulled out the slingshot, they were like, oh, Goliath is fucked. But Stacey Abrams had an amazing bite. This is long, but it's really important, and I really want you guys to watch this. She's talking about the 10 steps to becoming an autocracy. Now, I want you to watch this and think about what step you think we are on right now, and listen to the urgency in our good sister's voice. Look at this.
So start with winning an election. Mm-hmm. Usually the last one you're going to get to have for real. Number two, you have an expansion of executive power. The president decides he wants more than he's supposed to have. Number three, you start to make the Congress complicit. So you weaken them and you neutralize or neuter the judiciary. Like, the Supreme Court giving you unfettered power and saying we don't have the ability to stop things. Then you move on to firing all the people who know how to make government work. So you gut the civil service. And you do that because you want to break democracy so people forget the stuff that used to get done. So you can't get your Social Security check. So the CDC doesn't know what diseases are anymore. Then you put in place these loyalists, people who are only responsive to you. You put them in charge of the FBI so they go after your enemies. You put them in charge of the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense, so they can signal to their friends and tell them all about the evil plans that you have. Then you make certain that you break how we communicate. So you criticize the media and you create your own echo chamber of propaganda. You call it truth, even though you know you're lying. Then you go to the next step, and I call that step 7. Because at step 7, you have to blame someone. You have to blame people for the broken government, for the broken promises. So you go after DEI. You go after the vulnerable, the dispossessed. You go after any community that doesn't look like what you think power should be. While you're doing that, you make certain that in step 8, you eliminate anybody who can help them. So you sue law firms that do pro bono cases. You go after philanthropies and accuse them of giving money to the wrong people. You go after colleges and universities that can teach people possibly what else they should know. You get to step 9 and you start to encourage and incentivize private violence. You send the U.S. Marines into spaces they should not be. You send the National Guard in. You kidnap people off of the streets and pretend that's normal, because that's how you quiet dissent, because you make everyone afraid that if they don't do what you want, they might be next. And once you've done those 9 steps, step 10 is easy. That's when you decide there won't be new elections, because everyone's either afraid, poor, broken, or complicit.
I want to hear the folks in the chat talk about what step they think we're on right now. But Dimitri, where do you think we are on Stacey Abrams' timeline of moving toward autocracy?
Man, we got to be close 8, 9. A lot of these things she's saying, we've heard already.
Yeah.
Sending the military into places they don't belong, pointing blame at what presidency should have been or what should have been done. We've seen all of this. And it's amazing to hear it play out exactly how she's, scripted it too. I don't know the timeline of this, but we have to be a good 8 or 9. And just like we were mentioning earlier, I know we talked about it as being, propaganda or unlikely, but that not having re-elections thing is something she mentioned. And how powerful that is amazing to me, but for sure 8 or 9.
Doc, what do you think about where Stacey Abrams thinks we are moving toward?
First of all, Stacey Abrams is a political leadership genius. Let's just put it out there. Sis should have ran in place of Kamala, not comparing, just saying. And she was one of the biggest reasons why Biden got in office. Let's keep it real. And then she's VP. I'm going to say this. Biden dropped the ball, left her hanging. Why was Stacey Abrams not VP to your term? But anyways, I think anything sis says is enlightening. Yeah. She knows her shit. She's speaking to the people, for the people. She represents how most of us are thinking. Yeah. I'm just mad that she's not in office. I'm mad that she's not, our president. I'm mad that she's not running, and I hope she does in 2028. I think that all the steps that she ran are steps that he has already taken. I think that now we need a plan that can, deactivate his steps that he's taken, reroute, detour, dissipate something, because Trump has a momentum that is just growing and getting bigger. And I feel like until we, I just think, Touré, that we got to figure out more of a plan and not focus on his actions.
Doc, a lot of Americans, the White House wants a lot of Americans to be angry, divided, exhausted. They want the chaos. The antidote is organized communities and a system that works for the people, but the White House is trying to create the opposite.
Yeah, battle fatigue. The White House wants us to be battle fatigued, right? When we have nothing left in our tank, what do we have to give? And let's keep real. When we have nothing left in our tank, what do we give? We give crime. We give frustration. We give anger. We give division. We give fatigue to the point where we can't think, we can't strategize. So what do? Now you don't have to come overpower us. We just lay down the power. We're exhausted. We're tired. We're resourced out. We can't help ourselves. We can't help each other. So that means that what I've been saying for forever, that goes into him trying to create martial law. I still stand on that. This man is trying to overturn a democracy so he can be in complete dictatorship over us. He's already dictating us. We don't have to agree with it. But what he's doing, he's running the shit out of this country. He's not leading us. He's forcing, he's running, he's impeding, he's dividing. And that is all what creates martial law. And that is all what creates dictatorship, so that he can be in power and he can continue to pass down his power to where he wants it to be. And to the point where he eliminates everything that doesn't look right to him. And I've said this before, which for him is white. That's exactly what he's doing. And he's leading out what he deems to be the weakest link first. And he's making an example out of them so we all can see if we don't line up, if we are not in alignment with this man, guess what happens to us next? Although black folks was first, now it's looking like we could be secondary next.
Sarah, a lot of people should be talking about Alligator Alcatraz. This is representative of kind of like the end of democracy. And like, yeah, guilty. A lot of media is more focused on different stories, maybe more celebrity stories. I personally have been doing a ton about Diddy and the trial last few weeks. And I know that Alligator Alcatraz is happening, but I'm like, oh my God, this Diddy story is everything. And I think a lot of media has been like that. And Alligator Alcatraz has gotten a lot of attention, but not necessarily as much as it should as far as what it represents, as far as, you know, the end of democracy and a seacot on our own shores. And do you think that America is addicted to black and brown punishment?
Yes. And more than that, I think it's the agenda. It's the agenda. The agenda is to distract. The agenda is to keep us focused on something over here so they can do something crazy over there, so they can take our rights away, so they can put us into battle fatigue, so they can create chaos. Because the truth is, chaos is profitable in a lot of different ways. And it's not until we come together and work in groups where we're actually able, like, we need to focus on one thing at a time and focus on that. Because the truth is, all of these celebrities going through their stuff, yeah, it's juicy. It's like, wow, I didn't know. But how is that encouraging, changing, or impacting your life? It's not. We need to spend more time focusing on the things that actually make an impact, not just on us, but on our children, our children's children, and our future. And until we do that, we're going to stay inside of this battle fatigue, overwhelmed, overworked, exhausted.
You know, Torrey, it's rarely said, but a big architect of all this like immigration bullshit is that evil ass Stephen Miller. He's a meme to him. Goebbels notorious from Nazi Germany. I think it's time media actually shines light on that, how dangerous of an animal this actually is. Like, out of all of Trump's allies, out of all of his grifting family and Stephen Miller has been in his inner circle the longest and is probably doing the most damage. But we all know, Donald Trump's ego tends to push people who shines brighter than him in his own circle aside. So I say we blow it up. And assign this to Stephen Miller just to piss Trump off. Take a look at this video. Just take a look at this video.
Are these the neighbors that you want in your city? No. These are the criminal migrants that Kamala Harris brought into your community. And as swiftly as they came, Donald Trump will send them back.
Und ehrt das Andenken dieser 7 Gefallenen.
Listen, let's talk. I just want to for our viewers, y'all in the chat, listen, I just want to give you the psychological meaning of Alligator Alcatraz, just really quick, right? So alligator, primo danger, right? It symbolizes the unpredictable, lurking threats and death, using nature as a perimeter to subconsciously threaten them, escape, and you're dying. Let's just look at Alcatraz really quick, right? This prison was known for what? It's infamously known for the isolation and hopelessness. Naming this site Alligator Alcatraz evokes the same psychological cage where nature, not just bars, holds you in captive. I just wanted y'all to look at the entire metaphorically psychological meaning of Alligator Alcatraz. That's all I gotta say.
You know, I'm gonna say this loud and clear and without apology. America did not end slavery. America evolved slavery. Alligator Alcatraz is not a detention center. It's a plantation with PR and legal merchandise for people to profit off. So you gotta ask yourself, how does the richest nation on earth still run on slave labor in 2025? If you're outraged, don't just scroll, organize. Don't just post, show up. Call out the corporations, the politicians, the profiters feeding off of humans in cages. If we don't shut this down now, they'll build 10 more before sunrise. So stay awake, stay loud, and remember, nobody's free until everybody's free.
Beautifully said, Dimitri. Thank you for that. That's our show for tonight. Good show, guys. Like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube channel at Truth Talks-Live. Watch us simulcasting here on the Black Star Network after Big Dog Roland Martin Unfiltered every day. Support Black media at Cash App, Truth Talks Live, or any of the links on your screen. You can also support us by advertising with Truth Talks, like our friends at the Playpad in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you to them for advertising on the show. Reach our over 10 million viewing audience by advertising with us. That's across all our social platforms and all of Dimitri's friends. That's about 1 million people right there. Small businesses and influencers partner with us by visiting truthtalkslive.com, become a VIP member of the Truth Lounge, and click on any co-host room. If you click on Sarah's room, somebody will jump out and say, "Stop being a victim." As always, Truth Talks is standing in the gap for Black media as it is under attack. So keep supporting us by telling a friend to tell a friend to watch Truth Talks. We are on every night, 8 p.m. EST, 8 p.m. PST. So come hang out with your Truth Talks family every night at 8 p.m. We out.
Good night, y'all. Thank you so much. Super chats coming in.